while we're just getting seated, I just want to say thanks everyone for sticking around for the last session of the day. This is kind of supposed to be a fun session, kind of informal. We like a bit of banter. But hopefully we're also going to learn some good lessons from Luke here.
Welcome everyone. We're really excited to be on stage again. As you know, Mobile Growth Nightmares is like one of the best podcasts about mobile apps, but we just publish once per year because we're so special. And I just wanted to ask Andy, do you know how long we've been running this?
I actually don't, off the top of my head. It's got to be a few years now that we've been running the podcast.
I feel so old. It's 5 years.
5 years?
5 years, 5 episodes. It's awesome.
It's like it must be a huge catalog of content we've created during that time, right?
Exactly. But really excited that we're finally re-recording again, and I'm really excited about our guest today, Luke. I met Luke many years ago in one of the best ways. There are 2 ways to meet an amazing person, either over beers, or someone send you a message and say like, hey, you need to meet this guy because he's too smart. And that's what happened. So, expectation. He's an expert on both paid and organic, and he has a passion for like scaling startup and helping like discovering and scaling new channels. So Luke, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So tell us a bit more, like a short intro about like who you are, what you do, what do you like?
Okay, so I'm Luke. I'm head of acquisition at Project A. I've been working in marketing for about 7 years now. I started just doing Facebook and being a Facebook slave for a few years, and then got into every channel I could get my hands on: Twitter, TikTok, ASO, whatever was there. I've worked in 7 startups now, I think. So that's really good odds. A lot of them tend to go bankrupt in the startup scene, so that's why there's so many, I promise. And I've been working at Project A for 2 years, so in that time also working with about 10 different companies. Real mixture. In terms of what I like outside of marketing, snowboarding and cooking.
Ooh, spicy.
Did you say snowboarding and cooking?
Yeah.
Go on then. What's your signature dish?
I would say 2 signature dishes, like a ramen.
If you say Italian, I'm gonna leave the stage.
Oh no! I mean ramen from scratch. That was pretty great. Probably similar to your podcast. Probably do that once a year because that's how long it takes to prepare. And then the other one is a really epic New York cheesecake.
Wow.
Nice.
Where are they? Why are they not here?
Yeah. Well, I thought it's hard enough to talk in front of this amount of people, especially being recorded on camera without also eating. Maybe next time.
Okay, understand.
Especially with no tables to eat off.
Yeah, just do also
just
probably
no
cutlery either, just like with your hands, just go face in.
We'll do that next one, the next podcast. Okay, so Luke, a few follow-up questions. Like, tell us a bit more about Project A, and a bit more about your role specifically within that. It sounded like to me when you described it earlier, you're a bit like the Mr. Wolf of startup growth.
Wow. Okay, that's something I need on a T-shirt at some point. Basically, so Project A is a VC. So we invest in startups at different stages. The weird part about Project A and why I ended up working there is we're an operational VC, meaning that we don't just give people money, wait 5 to 10 years and hope that they're successful. We actually do projects with them. We, set up marketing from scratch. We set up a data warehouse, whatever they need. And my role there as head of acquisition, hopefully I'll get to change it to growth one day, is basically to focus on exactly that. Like, how can I take a company that maybe has 4 employees and help them to develop a marketing strategy that can get them to accelerate as quickly as possible, find their customer group, find the right channel for them, whether that's TikTok, podcasts, or Twitch, whatever kind of fits for them, and also then maybe help them grow the team and whatever they need, regardless of whether they're early stage or late stage.
So you're trying to sort of accelerate their journey towards product market fit, as well as to understand the right channel mix that's going to work for them.
Yeah, exactly. So if they're at that stage where they want to, understand their product market fit, then that will be kind of the task. Sometimes later on, it's like, we've done really well with this set of channels. We've reached a certain scale. What's next? Like, where should we be going? We want to do internationalization. Maybe we want to test out new channels, test out new audiences. What kind of experiments can we do? Help, basically.
First of all, it sounds like a really cool job. Sounds like a lot of fun. But second of all, I can imagine that most of the time. So please tell me if I'm on the nose here. But I would imagine that there's kind of a range of different kind of responses to your help. I guess that some folks are more able to kind of work with you and execute with you on your ideas, and some that are more resistant. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that just outright say, no, we don't agree, we don't think that you're wrong, which is always fun. There are then the people that are like, that sounds great, but I have no idea how to do that. We don't have the team. We're not ready. And some of them go, oh, that's cool. We'll do that next week, and actually have the team to be able to deliver it. So the last two are the ones where we actually get to work with them. Sometimes they're like, yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to be amazing. And then a few weeks down the line, they were like, so that thing that we said we were going to do and it's amazing, it turns out it's actually quite difficult. Maybe if you could just solve this little piece, then we're fine. And then the other people who are like, we don't have the team to do it, we can't do it right now. Maybe we actually send someone from our team to go and work with them. And the idea is every project should feel like you work at that company, because we're literally invested in them.
Yeah, that's awesome. When do you decide that it's kind of time to step out? When do you say, okay, you got this, guys, you're on your own now?
It kind of feels a bit like parenting, I imagine, as not being a parent at all. So you can tell me if I'm totally wrong in a few years' time. But it's kind of at the stage where, you explain something and they're able to explain it to someone else. I like to see that as a really good sign. If someone can explain it to somebody else, that means they really, truly understand it. And also when you're kind of talking about ideas for tests and you notice that they're suggesting, as many things as you are, and they're really starting to get into that flow, that's when I feel like, you're ready to take that over. And normally we try and do it where it's like a gradual thing where they just take more and more ownership, and you kind of empower them to really own that area. And maybe you move on to something else, or maybe, you fade out completely.
Amazing. I'll let you know in a couple of years if you're right, okay? I have a little bit of a follow-up question. Luke, you have so much experience. I'm so impressed because you work at many startups that we all know. Yababa, Asana Rebel, Art Night, now Project A, Wonderbly, that is one of my favorite companies actually. So you've seen it all and you experimented with a lot of channels. Actually, you're one of the few people probably that have a lot of experience on paid content as well. So I think we exchange a lot of notes on that. And when it comes to growing startups, especially now that you're working at Project A, there's always this little fight about paid channels and organic channels. A lot of people think that you cannot do both and you need to choose. Some people say, maybe work on paid, but then invest on long-term activities like SEO, like ASO, especially now in your role. What is your take? How do you actually pick a side if you have to pick? How do you do both? What do you think about this topic?
I think the great thing is that we, obviously I'm part of a team. We have a team that's specifically focused on CRM, social media content and stuff like that. So what's really nice is we try to approach it that we try to do both at the same time. So what launching the paid content, while you're running all of these campaigns, you're also setting up CRM to be able to really capitalize on the customer lifetime value of those customers. You're also trying to build up the organic side. So you can see that really nicely in a company like Trade Republic, which was actually the first project I did when I moved to Project A, where when we first started, they were a marketing-led company. They spent a very large amount on performance marketing. And then later on, you saw them growing more and more their organic side, doing these huge advent calendar campaigns, doing all of this product-led growth. And you see this year with their like Zinsen product that they released, that was almost an entirely organic launch. And that was really amazing to see that, you know, you can make that transition over basically a 1 to 2 year process to really start to drive the organic side to balance it out and just to be much more sustainable in that way.
Yeah, I love that. And you mentioned something interesting, product-led growth and ASO. And I think in one of the episodes of your podcast, we talk about it later, you mentioned about this, like actually using App Store optimization and like what people are looking for to maybe develop keywords on the product side, right? Sorry, feature, not keywords.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, in the past, a lot of people would do all of these focus groups and things like that. And now you have the ability to use things like App Store optimization or SEO or any of these kind of areas to actually start to deep dive what people really care about and then use other tools to experiment with what that looks like. So, you know, if people are really starting to search for a certain feature that you don't currently have and you're starting to show up for that, then that actually can be the start of a development where you make an MVP, maybe you test like a waiting list campaign for that product. And that's something that we've done with a lot of companies also where, you know, they're only available in a certain area or one country. We'll also start to test it in other countries, make it available organically and see what the demand is before we start to release as well.
Yeah, I love it. I have one last wild question to ask you. Can I?
Go for it.
Can you engineer Apple featuring? So, and do you think that it still has a big impact? Just asking because I talked about this today. So,
I mean, do I think you can engineer it? Yes, I do. I think it's very difficult, and it's basically like engineering PR. Like, I think of featuring as being basically the digital version of PR for apps, because basically you're getting featured for something amazing that you've done, a feature that's really unusual, or an audience that's not commonly focused on. And I think that that can work really well, but it's very difficult to engineer and it's very temporary. And I don't think that the impact is as big as it used to be. I think in the past, you'd get a huge amount of organic downloads and a long time cycle afterwards. And I don't see that to be so much the case anymore.
yeah, I agree. I think like the app of the day still has a little bit of impact. Anything else is like almost that, so.
Yeah, I mean, we got really excited last year, and this might come into one of the nightmares later. We got really excited last year because we got featured during Ramadan for one of our apps, and it got like us a rankings boost, and we were very excited. And then we looked at the impact on the downloads and just kind of like sad laughed. It's like, oh my God, guys, we got an extra 100 downloads this week by being featured. Like, this is really not changing the world.
I know, I can imagine.
So just before we go to the nightmare, I like on the topic of investing, Jessica, didn't you make an investment of your own recently?
Yeah, I'm one of these people now, the people that invest in companies, you know, like, you know, I have a full-time job and a daughter and a husband and a dog, and I thought like, let's add some more stuff on the
Just thought you weren't busy
table.
enough.
Yeah. So a couple of months ago, together with some friends, we saw an app that was going bankrupt, and we bought it. And the app is called Mello, and is an app for parents to meet other parents around you.
So could you restate that? Maybe spell it?
Mello.
Mello?
Yeah, Mello. And yeah, it's an amazing tool. And to be honest, I invested because as being a parent, expat parents in a place where I don't speak the language, it's been a bit hard, to be honest, to like find other parents or similar people to me. And yeah, I just believe in this and the power of like building a support network. And so we got it. I'm doing that. It's active in Berlin. If you are a parent, check it out. But it's pretty fun, and I love because, you know, during the day I do this massive campaign in the US, and then in the evening I have a Slack bot that tells me whenever there's a new user that comes to the app, and I'm like, yeah.
Nice.
So it feels really nice to be at that level. I like it.
Cool. So you're working on it's a kind of a turnaround project, right? You're taking a bankrupt app and kind of re-energizing it with your marketing know-how?
Let's see how it goes.
Guys, you have to see the TikToks. Like,
No, stop it. I stopped making the TikToks because I feel my husband was so like, it was like, I cannot even see them.
I was like, Jessica, when are you filming all of these? And she's like, I just sit down and I just film like 10 of them back to back. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
You need to optimize.
Time optimization.
A lot of fun. But yeah, okay, let's move to the core of our podcast, because behind every success, there are multiple mistakes.
Multiple mistakes,
a lot of that. And sometimes you learn more from the successes than from
the failures.
From the failures. Oh my God, I'm not prepared. So, especially in the conferences, we're used to hear about the successes. But Luke, I know that you fucked it up multiple times. I'm pretty sure about that.
I need to stop telling you about them.
You need to stop being honest. So maybe we're going to have time for either two of them. Let's see. But tell me about one time when you made a mistake, and most importantly, what did you learn from that?
Yeah, I mean, as we're at an ASO conference, I'll start with the one from App Store optimization. So last year, I pitched the concept of doing App Store optimization for one of our app companies within the portfolio. I can talk about them because they're bankrupt now, but that's not the nightmare.
Oops.
That would have been a real fuck up. But yeah, I basically pitched the idea of doing App Store optimization for our grocery delivery company, Yababa. And basically what their kind of USP is that their grocery deliveries specifically focused on the Turkish and Middle Eastern expat community within Germany. Obviously a very large community, and we thought that we would be able to generate a series of these businesses focusing on underserved groups in different countries. And it went really well in Berlin. And so we decided, we'd launch all over the country, and we'd also focus on App Store optimization, and that we could rank and be the #1 ranking company for a bunch of specific niche keywords that would really resonate with this audience. So I sat down and I did one of the most unusual keyword researches I've done so far, because it was partially in German, partially in Turkish, and partially in Arabic. And if you can imagine trying to work out which keywords you're ranking for in Google Sheets in Arabic, doing a column with the Google Translate of Arabic, it was a mess. But we were okay, there are a couple of times we really want to focus on ranking for halal. Because this was one of the main differentiators, was that all of the food on the platform was halal. So we decided we would rank for this. And we got to ranking second behind the Quran, which is a little bit hard to beat, being the holy Bible for Islamic people. So we decided that was a pretty good goal. And we focused on then a series of other keywords to get our rankings up. And we ended up at number 11. For the food category in Germany.
So number 11 category ranking.
Yeah, just behind gorillas. I know this because I got asked at midnight by the founder, can you send me a screenshot of the ranking right now so I can put it in the board slides for tomorrow? I'm so excited. So we're hyped. We're getting a lot of downloads. We're really scaling up within the markets. We're really ranking very well. We're starting to think about, can we localize to Turkish? Can we localize to Arabic? For the next launch market, which is going to be France, how are we going to do that? And then I start looking at the ranking going down. And I'm like, what's going on? And I went back into the paid channel, which I haven't really been focusing on because I've been focusing on ASO for the last couple of weeks. And they've slashed the budgets. Not they've slashed the budgets a little bit, as in the budget has been completely decimated. And they're yeah, so we decided to only focus on one area for now, so we've dropped the budgets everywhere else. And so we're trying to rank for the whole of Germany, but we're only really getting users in Berlin. So our ranking goes from 11th and free falls to 150th and never comes back.
Ouch.
And because, I spent the weeks preparing for this kind of thing, I didn't think about asking, are we also going to maintain the kind of download velocity? And obviously that's the main factor. You can rank as well as you like for keywords, but if the download velocity doesn't continue, you crash out. That's the law, everyone knows. but I didn't think about the fact that I had to state that and remind them of this. So they just thought, hey, we're doing really well organically, and we're ranking really high, so it doesn't matter if we cut the budgets.
We're doing ASO now. We can save a bunch of money on ads.
Yeah, exactly. Now that we rank organically, we'll just get 1 million downloads a month, and it'll be fine. So yeah, that was fun. That was an adventure. I had to explain to them exactly why that was not going to work out immediately after their board meeting, which was fun. So yeah.
So the learning there, if I can just sort of try to synthesize that, the learning is not to make any assumptions about the knowledge within the team that you're advising, maybe?
Yeah.
Or?
I think partially that, and partially, don't get like too locked into just the thing you're trying to improve, like the metric that I was trying to improve. Mm-hmm. I just obsessed over those things. And I didn't think about, I didn't try and maintain the other factors that were going into it. I just kind of assumed they would stay flat, and they assumed that I would take over now, like the organic side would take over now.
Yeah.
So,
So it's like, keep an eye on the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Don't zoom in too far.
Yeah.
Always important. I love this story.
That's a pretty solid nightmare. And you said for unrelated reasons, they're now bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's absolutely not due to that.
Nothing to do with Luke.
Yeah. They just, when asked in the press, why they were bankrupt, they just put up a photo of my face. But I get really good SEO now, so that's really all that matters. There's no, there is no bad press, right? So it makes sense.
True. Do we have time for another nightmare?
What time are we on now? It's 5:02?
It's like 5 now.
It's 5. Yeah, we have time.
I want to hear more, because if I feel you have
quick second
juicy
nightmare.
stuff.
I mean, I think Luke's got some real gold here. I think we should keep
we
digging.
can stay here all night. No, we want to go drink after this, but like maybe another one.
I might need a drink after this. So Jessica said earlier that one of her favorite companies I worked at was Wonderbly. They're a personalized book company from London. If you need a present for your children, grandchildren, siblings, or any child in your life, it's a very easy to make gift. It's very affordable, and it's
I
adorable.
literally do it for everyone. Yeah. Every person that has a kid, that's where I go.
Yeah. I for some of my friends who have kids, I've just ordered 3, and then they just arrive hand delivered, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's so thoughtful." And I'm like, "Yes, I prepared this just recently. I did not stack them up in my house." So yeah, it's a very cute present. And it's actually where I started my paid marketing journey. So I did my training. I started on like 200 euros a day budget. And by the end of the year, we were spending 250,000 a day. Wow. So it was a good year. And I kind of got told that, I should be inspired to think outside of the box. So 3 days in to working at this company, I've moved to Berlin from London. I've moved in with my new colleague who I've never met before. And I'm starting to work in marketing. And day 3, I'm like, guys, we're only targeting like 8 markets in the world. Like the US, yeah, sure, UK, Germany, France, a couple of others. Like, what about the rest of the world? Like, what about Asia and all of these other markets? And they're like, well, we don't have the languages for that. And I'm like, well, why don't we just target English? So we did that. We targeted English in Southeast Asia, amazing. We targeted English all over Europe, amazing. It was great. We were basically targeting expats everywhere that no one's normally targeting, because they're normally targeting the main languages of the countries. I'm very excited. And then I was like, what about Spanish? Like, there's a whole continent in South America where we could be targeting. Let's do Spanish. And so I ask if this is okay, if we can run this test, and they're like, yeah, sure. Like, small budget, don't go too crazy. Acquisition costs are amazing. I'm very excited. So I ask if I can spend a little bit more. They say, sure. So I'm spending like 1,000 a day. But they don't realize that I'm acquiring people for £5 per person. So I'm acquiring a lot of people. And at the end of 2 or 3 weeks, I get a very angry phone call from the CFO, who's saying, Luke, how many orders did you do in Mexico? And I'm like, I'm really happy, because I think he's like hyped.
Yeah, he's gonna give you a promotion right away. He's
because he's like, the acquisition costs are amazing. You're gonna turn around the business. It's gonna be incredible. No, he's pissed because we only planned to do 1,000 orders in Mexico the whole year, and I did them in a few weeks by mistake, objectively. And it turns out we didn't negotiate logistics for South America, so we're paying like Royal Mail UK. Wow. To send them to Mexico at 50 euros a book.
Oh my gosh.
And the book costs 25 euros. No. So we're losing quite some money on every order. And I've just done 1,000.
My gosh, that's tough.
So he goes, turn it off right now. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I turn off the campaigns and he's like, and there won't be any more orders, right? And I'm like, well, normally there's a bit of, there'll be people that saw it yesterday and the day before, and the next day there's even more orders.
Oh my God.
So yeah, he never actually gave me, especially when I suggested that the answer was to build a print house in Mexico.
Yeah, why not?
I thought that was great, but apparently that's very expensive and very complicated. But I managed to get us to get a deal for it. We did South America and it was eventually fine. But he kind of didn't look at me for the next few months. And I got some very, very worded notice that I had to get it in signed agreement before I launched any other countries, which was fair.
I mean, to be fair, you did your job, right? You got them the orders. You're not in charge of logistics specifically.
At this point, I was basically a professional gambler because I didn't really, all I'd been told was just make this number go up and make this number go down. We don't care how you do it. And so I was basically just okay, slot machine, and I do this, and I pull this, and I do that, and I do this. And this was all I thought about. It would be 4 a.m., and I'd queue for a club in Berlin, and I'd be like, I'm just gonna check what EPA is. Maybe I can make some changes. So really, they created a monster.
Yeah.
But it worked out in the end.
I love that, but I also love the fact that it doesn't happen so often, especially us working in the digital world, that you had a physical product, and there's so many more variables, when you work with something physical you have to send.
We actually had a bunch of other nightmares there, which were pretty fun. So we had, you have this personalized book, each of the letters is related to the kid's name. One of them is Angel. If you have an A in your name, you can have a character of an angel. So we sold the books in Dubai and Qatar, which are Islamic countries, and we got banned from the country officially. No. Yes. Officially banned from the countries and considered a company non grata because we were, and I quote, religious propaganda.
My gosh.
That's rich.
Yeah, it was fun. In the US, we got the opposite, which is the angel has a tattoo, and so we got Christian groups saying that we were destroying the image,
corrupting morality.
Yeah, corrupting morality. So you really can't win.
What did you change the A for?
Oh no, we just kept it, and people started ordering them to other countries and then getting them shipped. So, we just became the bad boys of personalized books, I guess.
I was just thinking, because I was my daughter's name is Zelda. Oh, I don't have an angel, because the book is in Italian, so it's eagle, that is Aquila, so yeah. Never mind. Other stories. Okay, I guess we need to move on.
We're pretty much out of time. I'm sure everyone wants to get a drink. Thank you, by the way, for being so patient on a beautiful summer's evening. I think we have time just for a very, very quick brilliant or bullshit section. It's a very short one today. It's a very simple, basically a one-liner.
The jingle.
We have to do the jingle.
Brilliant or bullshit. Okay, good.
There we go. We were in tune today, I think.
I know, it's a
Okay, so for those of you who are not familiar with our brilliant or bullshit round, we ask our guests to take a polarized position, very for or very against, but not sitting on the fence, around a topical news article. So there was some big news, as you kind of from last week. The EU regulator in Ireland fined Meta $1.3 billion for violations of the GDPR, basically privacy regulation stuff. It's probably the first time ever that a regulator has imposed a somewhat significant fine on a company of that kind of size. What do you think about it, Luke?
I'm going with bullshit.
Bullshit.
I'm going with bullshit primarily because it's the Irish ministry doing it. So they're the ones that have given different tax rules.
Tax breaks.
To Meta, to Facebook, to Amazon, specifically only if they're in Ireland.
Yep.
They basically pay no tax at all, but in return they get some big deals and a huge economy boost. And then they're like, well, that's nice, taking from that side. But then at the same time, we're going to fine you on the other side. So it's like they can't decide whether they want to screw them or befriend them. So it feels a little bit unfair. It feels like they're drinking from both sides. So yeah, I'm gonna go with bullshit from them.
That's a very nuanced response. I do actually, I totally get you on the tax breaks thing. You know, they've got a bunch of companies there that they've attracted with these tax breaks. You know, I actually think even in this article, the regulator almost seems apologetic. He's like, oh, I have to enforce the law. This is how the law is at the moment. It's like almost basically like saying, oh, like
unless we change it later.
Yeah, exactly. We might change it for you if you stay in Ireland.
maybe you can get a refund later or get it paid back in installments.
Yeah. So nevertheless, I'm going to say, I still think it's brilliant that they got fined $1.3 billion because like they're just like completely riding roughshod over privacy regulation. I think you made some valid points about Ireland, but like seriously, like, you know, if they're going to kind of just ignore GDPR for a considerable amount of time, then fuck them. They should get fined even more.
That's also fair. If it had been Germany, I would have gone for it.
Fair play. Jessica, any final thoughts on that?
Just because I hate GDPR, because then I cannot market anybody, I would say bullshit, but just because of that. But I understand the importance of privacy, so politely I would say brilliant, but let me say bullshit just because.
Well, this is really not like taking a polarized response.
I know.
She's basically saying she's a capitalist. That's her main message.
I just want to market people. Like, just let me do that.
Yeah, but you abide by the rules, right? That's the difference. And you would expect to get fined if you didn't.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. Okay. Then brilliant. Okay, you got me.
Okay, I think that's really all we got time for today.
Yeah, maybe Luke, tell us a bit more. Where can people find you? And tell us about your podcast. Just 1 minute.
Yeah, so I have a really easy to find name, Luke Costley-White. You can find me on any social media with it. I'm the only one. And I release an episode of my podcast with Jessica in a couple of weeks' time on the Project A podcast. You can find it on Spotify, etc.
Who has been your favorite guest so far in your podcast?
So obviously the head of growth from Revolut was really great. The second guest, she was, so-so.
Don't listen to him. Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke. It was a pleasure. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Luke.
Let's go have a drink.
Thanks, right.
Thanks.
It's drinks time. Thank you, everyone.